As the 2023 F1 season heats up, tensions within the Red Bull team are already boiling over. With Max Verstappen poised for a third title win, a potential roadblock has emerged in the form of his own teammate. Could this intra-team rivalry derail Verstappen's championship hopes before they even get off the ground? Let's dive deeper into this tense situation and see what it could mean for the future of the Red Bull team. Max Verstappen's father's churlish response to Sergio Perez's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix victory is evidence the Dutch family isn't fully supportive of the Mexican's place at Red Bull Racing. Perez trails reigning champion Verstappen by just 1 point after winning from pole position in Jeddah with what team boss Christian Horner described as his best race since joining Milton Keynes. But the late stages of the Grand Prix were coloured by Verstappen ignoring team orders to cruise home in second place, despite serious reliability concerns for both cars. It forced both cars into a series of escalating lap times, though Perez had enough pace in hand to keep Verstappen at bay. The Dutchman eventually settled for the fastest lap. However, the bonus point and retained title lead clearly weren't enough for Max's father, Jos Verstappen, who was picked up by television cameras at the very front of Perez's pack of jubilant mechanics wearing a stony-faced expression, despite his son's mammoth recovery from 15th to 2nd. His emotionless reaction became the stuff of memes after the race, but it also hinted at ongoing dissatisfaction behind the scenes. Sky Sports F1 commentator David Croft stated, "To be fair, he did say well done to Sergio, but come on Jos, your son's just finished second, he's taken the fastest lap, and he's leading the World Championship. I'm sure you can afford a smile from time to time." I mentioned it on TV because I thought it was a bit churlish, to be honest, that he wasn't smiling with the rest of the team, because it is a team sport and everyone works together. And I'm sure there will be times in the season where they might need Sergio's help a little bit, just as there were times last year when Sergio needed Max's help, and he might not have got it, to be fair. The relationship between the Perez and Verstappen factions of Red Bull Racing has been a major question since their run-in at last year's Brazilian Grand Prix, where the Dutchman refused to cede 6th place to help the Mexican secure 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, despite having already won the title. The Dutch media later reported that Verstappen refused to comply because he and his camp believed Perez crashed deliberately during qualifying in Monaco to prevent him from starting ahead of him on the grid. Perez went on to win the Grand Prix. Perez denied the accusation, but Red Bull Racing attempted to sweep the entire incident under the carpet with a press release that exonerated Max of any wrongdoing in Brazil. Croft continued, "Something happened in Monaco last year, and it just still lingers, and it still rumbles on under the surface. I don't think Team Verstappen are necessarily full supporters of Team Perez. I really don't. Otherwise, Jos would be going and saying well done to Sergio at that moment and celebrating that victory. You're enjoying this video, right? You definitely don't want to miss out on other amazing videos. So all you have to do is hit the subscription button. It's that easy. Thanks for doing that. Let's move on. What could this mean for Verstappen's title chances? Without Perez, Verstappen risks being exposed to a fast-charging Aston Martin, Ferrari, or Mercedes in the second half of the season when the team's budget cap penalty begins to take hold. Verstappen has relied on Perez to get him over the line before Abu Dhabi 2021, and a feud with the Mexican could later backfire. The former F1 star turned TV pundit Timo Glock has claimed Perez will not help the Dutchman as he feels he can also challenge for the title. However, Glock feels this will lead to a fight between the two stars, which could risk blowing up into a civil war. Glock said Verstappen's fastest lap, which he grabbed on the last lap, will again lead to internal discussions. Sergio Perez will not get involved in any topic in which he will have to support Verstappen in the future. I'm sure of that because the Mexican sees his chance to fight for the title with Verstappen. This will lead to a fight between the two. We can expect that there will be friction. Red Bull is certainly already aware of this. Perez showed that he is strong and has very good pace in the race. At the same time, Verstappen is someone who doesn't allow himself to be told and does what he thinks is right. The team can say whatever they want. The pair appeared to clash moments after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. As it emerged, Verstappen had ignored a team request to secure the fastest lap. Perez looked puzzled after he learned the Dutchman had gone against the team's wishes to stick to a certain pace to have a go at beating Perez's best time. The reigning champion took the prize on the final lap, giving him an extra point. It ensures Verstappen leads the championship ahead of the Australian Grand Prix instead of the Mexican. After the duo had words in the cooldown room, Perez told reporters that he would demand an investigation into the incident. He said, "They told me I had the fastest lap and to keep the pace at a certain pace. I thought the communication was the same to Max. I think we need to review the different information and I just couldn't push then in the end." However, Perez has just 2 more seasons on his Red Bull deal, meaning it's time to get feisty. If there is no extension beyond 2024, Perez has no incentive to help Verstappen and may purposefully derail his teammate to give himself a sniff of clinching the crown. Despite the Austrian team bagging 1-2 finishes at both races so far this season in Bahrain in Saudi Arabia, Verstappen has still suffered from reliability issues. From the outside, the team looks to be dominating the season, winning the races with significant leads and not having to push the cars to the limit. However, the two-time champion has said they have to make sure the cars are reliable. Verstappen explained, but it's not only about the pace of the car. We need to make sure we are reliable without any issues. I mean, my first weekend was not very clean because of the big balance shift from testing to the race weekend and some other things which are going on in the background. Verstappen encountered a drive shaft issue during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix qualifying session, which left him starting from 15th position. Although he was able to finish in second, he was still not happy with the performance. He continued, and again in Saudi Arabia, after 3 positive practice sessions, then I have an issue in qualifying. Of course, I recovered to second, which is good, and of course in general the whole feeling in the team, everyone is happy, but personally I'm not happy. Expecting any team to be bulletproof with their reliability at race 2 of the season is unrealistic. The teams are still getting used to their new cars, learning their ins and outs. Just look at McLaren and Ferrari in Bahrain. The same goes for Red Bull. Verstappen is one of the most vocal drivers on the radio when it comes to picking up issues like a downshift feeling or sounding odd. It is why he was so quickly able to call out the drive shaft problem before it sidelined him in qualifying, and why he was so hot about it again when he heard a strange noise in the cockpit during the race. As Gianpiero Lambiase, Verstappen's race engineer, once said, Max has an innate feeling for the connection between himself, the car, and the road. Red Bull isn't brushing the issue off. Paul Monahan, Red Bull's chief engineer, said pre-race on Sunday they had to put in a temporary fix for the problem and would review that again for Australia. But given the tight turnaround and the time it takes to get to Melbourne means that if a firmer solution is needed, it may not be in place until Azerbaijan, another month from now. Perez, however, got through the weekend without the same issue, as did both AlphaTauri cars, which use Red Bull drive shafts. That means the team has plenty of samples on which to base a proper analysis, especially since the parts from Verstappen's car also stayed in place. But it's worth keeping an eye out for this weekend on all the Red Bull and AlphaTauri cars. The scale of Red Bull's advantage over the rest of the field means that the 2023 season looks likely to boil down to a straight head-to-head title fight between Verstappen and Perez. And when the stakes between teammates are elevated to being in an exclusive fight for wins and the world title, that inevitably increases the intensity. It repeatedly happens in F1. Teammates who can operate fine together when the fight is for podium finishes or below can fail to see eye to eye when it boils down to wins and the title. Red Bull knows only too well how things can spiral out of control when there becomes an edge between its drivers. Just think of Multi 21 in Malaysia in 2013, the collision between Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel in Turkey in 2010, and of course the not bad for a number 2 front wing controversy from that year's British Grand Prix. What's your thought about the rivalry between Perez and Verstappen, and how will it affect Verstappen's title ambitions? Let me know in the comments section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.